Hello Bafi crochet lovers, welcome to today's tutorial. We're going to be making a willow granny square blouse. In our last tutorial I showed you how to make a willow granny square. You can check the description box for that video. I have these two half willow granny squares because I want the neck to look a little bit like a V-neck. Okay, so we're going to be joining these squares into a very beautiful blouse. This is what the blouse looks like when it's completed. If you are yet to subscribe to our channel, please do so. For those of you that have subscribed, thank you, and don't forget to like. Let's get started. Make your slip knots, and this is how we're going to be joining all our squares together. Make your slip knots. So pick one of your squares, insert your hook into the chain one space and pull up the loop like this. Pick your other square, insert your hook into the chain one space, yarn over, make sure you are inserting into your chain one space, yarn over, pull up the hook, okay, pull it out. So we are going to be working with the two loops. Insert your hook into the two loops on your right square and then insert it into the other one on the left. Make sure your working yarn is in between your two squares. Your working yarn must always be in between your two squares, and then pull it out. So pull it through. This is how we're going to be joining our squares. Let's do it again. Okay, so we're working with the two loops on the left square and on the right square. Make sure your yarn is in between your two squares. So this is how we're going to be joining. This is how we join our squares. So this is the flat seam method of joining, but I'm working with the two loops. Instead of working with one loop, I'm using the two loops to join my squares because I like the finishing. So keep joining your squares like this until you get to the end. When you're almost at the end, I'll show you what to do. So keep joining. So I'm almost at the end of joining these two squares. Next we're going to be attaching the next set of squares. So for me, I'm joining two at a time. So after these two, I will join the next two, I will join the next two. This is how I'm going to be joining my squares. Make sure you stop at your chain one space. Insert your hook into the chain one space that we made earlier on when we're making our squares. Make sure it's your chain one space and do your last joining. So pick your next square, insert your hook into the chain one space like this. Pick the other square and insert your hook into the chain one space. Pull it through. So pull it through like I said and chain one. So make sure you arrange the squares. The right side should be facing you while the wrong side should be down. Okay, so we're going to continue joining again the way we did earlier on. Insert your hook into the next stitch, the two loops on your right and then the two loops on your left square. So this is all we're going to be doing. Okay, this is how we're going to be joining all our squares. So keep joining your squares. For me, I'm joining both the front and the back together, so that's why I have two squares at a time. I'm joining both the front and the back. So at the end, I'm going to have 5 squares for the front and 5 squares at the back. So however you choose to join, just go ahead and join yours, but this is how I'm joining mine. All right, so this is what it looks like. It's very beautiful. So keep joining your squares. When you're done joining these two, then you take the next 2 squares and join them. So continue joining your squares. Keep joining. So keep joining your squares. Remember that your yarn must always be in between your two squares, okay? It should be in front of you. So keep joining your squares. I'm going to have 10 squares all together, like I said earlier on. The front, I have 5 squares for the front of the blouse and then 5 squares at the back. Make sure that you are working with your blouse measurement. Divide your blouse measurement into 2. If your bust measurement is 40, divide it into 2. So the front panel is going to have, the front panel will be 20 inches while the back panel will be 20 inches, which makes it 40 inches all together. So make sure that you are working with your blouse measurements, okay? So keep joining your squares, and then I'll show you how we're going to join the other side of the squares. All right, okay, so this is the measurement of my blouse. For the front, I have, it's about 22.5 inches. Make sure you're working with your blouse measurement. So all together I have like 45 inches for the blouse. Okay, so keep joining and then I'll show you what to do next. So this is how I've joined my squares. Like I said, I have 5 squares in front and 5 squares at the back. So now we're going to be joining the other side of the squares. So when you're done, just chain 1 and cut your yarn. Use your scissors or your cutter to cut your yarn, and then we will join the other side. All right. So make your slip knot. Insert your hook into your chain 1 space. Remember that it must always be your chain 1 space. Insert your hook into the chain 1 space on the left square. So I already have my slip knots, and then I'll pull it through the 2 squares. Okay. Chain 1. So it's the same thing we did. So pick the 2 loops on your right square, pick the 2 loops on your left square, and yarn over and pull it through until we get to the middle parts of our squares. So just continue joining your squares the way you've been doing. It's not so difficult. It's very easy. Keep joining your squares. Make sure your stitch is not too tight and is not too loose. Okay, so I'm almost at the middle. Okay, so one stitch at a time, one stitch at a time. Your working yarn must always be in between your 2 squares. Your working yarn must always be in between your 2 squares. This. Make sure you join all the stitches together. Don't leave one stitch. Join everything so your blouse wouldn't have any hole. So I'm almost at the end. Okay. So now insert your hook into the next chain of the square of the next square on your left and on your right and pull it through. Make sure you're able to pull everything through. Okay, so that is how we're going to be joining. It's just like the way we've been joining. it's not different. So when you get to the middle, you pick the loop on your right square and then the loop on your left square, and then you pull it through and you keep joining. So this is all we're going to be doing. This is how we're going to be joining the squares. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. This is how we're joining our squares. Okay, are you seeing how beautiful it's looking? It's very neat, it's very simple, it's beautiful. So continue joining your squares like this until you get the length that you want and you get the width that you want. So I'm almost at the end of joining these ones together. Okay. When I'm done joining the squares, I'll just chain one, cut my yarn, join the next one. When I'm done with that one, I'll move to the next. So this is all we're going to be doing. So chain one, cut your yarn, okay, this is it. Can you see? It's very neat. So this is all we're going to be doing. Join your squares until you get the length of your blouse. So I've completed the first 2 rows. This is what it looks like. I'll keep joining my squares until I get the length that I need for this blouse. So this is what it looks like. This is the outside, this is the right side, and this is the wrong side. I have a lot of weavings to do at the end of when this blouse is completed. So keep joining your squares and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how far I've gone. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 rows of squares that I've joined, and I left that side for my armhole. Okay, so don't join the entire thing. Leave a square or 2 for your armhole, depending on how wide your armhole is. So this other side is, this other strip is going to the back, and then I'm going to attach this square, this one that has the half willow granny square. Okay, so join your half willow square with one of your squares together the way I did. So join it like this, and then I'll show you how to join the front. So I have attached the back. That's what the back looks like. And then now we're going to be attaching the front that has the half willow granny square. Right, so I'll show you how to do one side, and then you go ahead and do the other side. Make sure you leave opening for your armpits, or else for your armhole, sorry, or else you have to loosen your work and then redo it again. Okay, make sure that your squares are aligning. Make sure that they are aligning together. The middle point of one square should join the middle point of the other square, or else your work is going to look somehow. Make sure that the squares are aligning together. Insert your hook into the chain 1 space on your right square, and insert your hook into the chain 1 space on your left square. Make sure it's the chain 1 space. It's difficult, but just try and find it. Alright, I've finally gotten mine. Okay, so pull up your slip knot through the 2 squares and chain 1. Right, and then we join like before. The next stitch on your left and on your right, sorry, pick the next stitch on your right square first, and then the next stitch on your left, the 2 loops, yarn over and pull it through. Make sure that your working yarn is in between your 2 squares. I keep saying this because it makes your work easy. So 1 stitch at a time, don't skip any stitch. Okay, so try not to skip any stitch. I'm just going to make sure that my squares are aligning. Make sure that your squares are aligning together. So this is it. Keep doing what I'm doing. Keep joining until you get to the end of the second square. So the square, your half square should be ending, your half square should align with your second square on your right. Is that okay? So make sure that they are aligning together. Like this. So this is where your joining should end. Alright. So go ahead and join till you get to the end. I'm almost at the end of attaching my half willow granny square to the one on the right. Make sure that your squares are aligning together. Your squares must always align together. One middle point must meet with the other middle point. Okay. So chain 1, cut your yarn. This is what it looks like. Go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, and I'll show you what to do next. So join the other side, and then I'll show you what we'll do next. So the next thing, we're going to join our shoulders. Same, go ahead and join it. Stop there, and then join the other side. So I've joined my shoulders together, and then I have also attached one of my sleeves. I'll show you how to attach the sleeve, and then you do the same thing. All right. So I have 12 squares for my sleeve. I have already attached my I've joined my squares together to form my sleeves. I have 12 squares all together for one sleeve, and then the armhole measurement is about 10 inches. Okay, it is about 10 inches. So I left 2 squares without joining. So this is my sleeve. I have 12 squares all together for my sleeve. It's like a 3/4 sleeve. So I'll go ahead and join the side. I'm going to join the seam. Go ahead and join your seam, and then we're going to be attaching it to the body of the blouse. So after joining the seam, insert your hook into the middle stitch of your seam, okay, and then pull up the loop that is on your sleeve, chain 1. So the same way we've been joining our sleeves, our squares, is the same way we're going to be joining this sleeve. So take the loop, the 2 loops on your left and the 2 loops on your right, yarn over and pull it through. So keep joining your sleeves until you get to the end. Just continue joining it the same way we have been joining our squares. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can get notified each time we post a video, And if you've subscribed, thank you. Don't forget to like, comment and share. Okay, so keep joining. Remember that your yarn must always be in between your 2 squares to make your work easy. So keep joining like this, and I'll meet you at the end of this round to show you how we're going to finish joining the sleeves. So I'm almost at the end. I will just continue working by joining to ensure that I do not have any hole in between the sleeves. Okay, so just keep joining it, close up the hole that is there, keep working it the way I'm working mine until you get to the beginning of our sleeve joining. Okay, I'm almost there. It may be difficult, but just try to insert your hook inside so that you can close up whatever little hole that you may have. The way I'm doing, I'm trying to close everything up. All right, so do the same, and then when you're done, chain 1, and cut your yarn. Make sure it's tight. So chain 1, cut your yarn. So what I'll do next is to insert my hook from inside the blouse and then pull this loop inside. Okay, so I'll just pull it inside like this. All right. Okay, so that's how to join the sleeve. Go ahead and join your other sleeve, and then we're going to be working our neckline now. That's the next thing we're going to be doing. Our blouse is turning out beautifully. Okay, so this is it. It's fine, it's neat. We're going to be working our neckline now. So for the neckline, I'm going to find the middle point. My middle point is going to be in between the 6 double crochets that we made. So I have 6 double crochets. I'm going to I'll place my stitch marker in the middle of the 6 double crochets. So just go ahead and find your middle point. Place your stitch marker into the middle of your blouse. Okay, so next, make a slip knot. We're going to be working single crochets round the neck. So find any point at the back of your blouse. So this is where I'm inserting my own hook. So pull up your loop, chain 1, make a single crochet into that same stitch. Make a single crochet. So we're going to be making single crochets round until we get to the corner. The first corner is our shoulder seam. So just keep working your single crochet until you get to the seam where you have your shoulder. So that's going to be our first corner, and then we're going to be making a stitch reduction at our corners. So we have 4 corners in this blouse: the shoulders and then the neck. So I'm almost at my corner, and I'm going to be making a stitch reduction. Okay, so for our stitch reduction, I'm going to be making three stitch reductions here. So insert your hook, pull up the loop, hold it, insert your hook again, pull up a loop. So you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Sorry. I need to weave in my yarns. I'm going to do that when I'm done. Okay, so, and then I have 1 more stitch reduction to do. So I have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull it through. So this is how we're going to be working the shoulder seam, the corner at the shoulder. Okay, so I will just continue working my regular single crochets until I get to the neck where I have my half willow granny square. Okay, so I'm almost there. This point I'm going to be working another set of stitch reductions. So 1, 2, 3. I'll work 3 stitch reductions on one side and then 3 stitch reductions on the other side. So altogether I have 6 stitch reductions. So yarn over, pull it through. This is how this is how I'm going to be working the neck. So now I'll just continue working my normal single crochets until I get to the other side of the neckline. So keep working your single crochets. When you get to your stitch marker, remove your stitch marker, make a single crochet into that same stitch, and then replace the stitch marker. I will be making another stitch reduction at this corner. Remember, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, and then we yarn over and pull it through all the loops. Okay, so do the same thing. 1, 2, 3 on the first side, and then 3 stitch reductions on the other side. This is how I'm working my neckline. So 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, pull it through all the loops. I'll continue working my single crochets until I get to the last corner, which is the shoulder on the other side, and then I will just work 3 stitch reductions on that side, and then work normal single crochets until I get to the beginning point. So for me, I'm going to repeat this I'll repeat working my single crochets 2 more times, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I'm almost done working my single crochets. So when you get to the beginning, just make a slip stitch at the top of your first single crochet, chain 1, and then repeat the row again 2 more times, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've worked my single crochets 2 more times, and this is it. So I'll just make a slip stitch at the top of my first single crochet, chain 1, and then cut my yarn. Alright, so this is what it looks like. So turn your work and then insert your hook into the stitch where your stitch marker is. Make a slip knot and then pull it to chain 1. So make a single crochet into that same stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last one is the 7th single crochet, chain 1, turn your work. We are making the ribbon on the neckline. So this is how to make the ribbon. So make single crochets into the back loop only. So 1, make sure you are making your single crochets now into your back loop. We're only working with the back loop. So when you get to the end, chain 1 and turn your work. Single crochets into the back loop. When we get to the end of making our single crochets, we are going to be making 2 slip stitches into the blouse. So keep working your single crochets until you get to the end. So make 2 slip stitches, 1 and 2 into the blouse, turn your work, then make your normal single crochets. Make sure you count the 2 slip stitches that you made so that you do not make single crochets into it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Chain 1 and turn. What I do is I usually count my single crochet so that I do not mistake. I do not make a single crochet into the 2 slip stitches that I have made. So this is what we are going to be doing now. When you get to the end of your 7th single crochet, make 2 slip stitches into your blouse, turn your work, and then continue making your single crochet. So this forms our ribbon for the neckline. This is all we're going to be doing until we get to the end of this round. So 2 slip stitches into the blouse, 2 slip stitches, turn your work, and then make your normal single crochets. So continue working like this until you get to the end, and then I'll show you what we need to do next. I'll meet you when we get to the end. So I'm almost at the end of making my ribbon. This is what the ribbon looks like. It's very fine. I don't want you to be very bold, that's why I made 7 single crochets. So I like it the way it is. So we are almost getting to the end of making our blouse, and it's turning out really beautifully. Alright, so I'm just working my single crochets, and I've gotten to the end. Now I'm just going to be sewing it like this. Just pull it a little. This is how the neckline is going to be. So I'm going to attach my yarn into my needle, and then I'll show you how we're going to sew it up. Okay. So this is my needle, and then this is how we're going to sew it up. Make sure you are doing the same thing that I'm doing if you want the neckline to come out the way mine came out. Alright, so use your thumb to press it down and then just sew it neatly. This is my own method of making this neckline. So I'm just sewing it neatly. Make sure you tie it off very well, or you back stitch firmly so that it doesn't loosen. When you're done, just cut your yarn, and this brings us to the end of our neckline. So this is what the neckline looks like. It's so beautiful. This is it. I used scrap stitch for the finishing of my blouse because it provides a neat, reversible and durable edge for my blouse. So you can go ahead and use whatever finishing you want to, or you can leave it like that. So this is the complete blouse. This is what it looks like. This is the scrap stitch. It's very nice. This is the back of our blouse. Can you see that? It's so beautiful. I have weaved in the ends of my yarns, and the blouse looks nice. You can see my tag on my blouse. Go ahead and fix yours if you have. Alright, so I'll just give you the final measurements of my blouse. So the length of this blouse, use this side so that you can see what I'm doing. The length is about 24 inches, while the width of this blouse is let me see, what do I have here? 23 inches times 2, that's about 46 inches. Then the sleeve, it's about 15.5 inches. All right, and the width of this sleeve is about 8.5 inches. So this is what the blouse looks like. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment and share. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in our next tutorial. Until next time, stay crafty and happy crocheting. Bye bye.